There you go. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the November APAC Scientific Forum. For today, before we move on to the original agenda with regards to the ETL project, I have a few symposium news that I would like to disclose, and then we can get started with the project closeout presentations from each of the leads. So first of all, news on the OHDSI APAC Symposium, specifically with regards to the collaborator showcase. Acceptance notifications have been sent out last week on October 30th. For those of you who have been selected for posters, you don't need to do anything, send us anything in advance. You just come to the symposium with your printed posters. However, an important notification on the poster orientation as well as the size of the posters. So there's certain venue constraints. Your posters need to be in vertical orientation. OHDSI typically does it horizontal, but please, you will need to adjust the poster templates from OHDSI to vertical, either the OHDSI templates itself, or you can use your own template, whatever you prefer. And the size should be no larger than A0 size. So please, if you are not aware of this, please make sure to reflect this and apply it to your poster as you prepare for the upcoming symposium. By the way, the notification, the note on the poster size and orientation have also been included in the acceptance notifications. So please, if you don't know where to find this again, your email, notification email will be the place to go. And last but not least, for authors that have been additionally selected for lightning talks, you need to come back to us with your attendance confirmations by November 15th. So why we need your confirmation is because the lightning talks are to be in person and for you to do an oral talk at the symposium. So if you cannot be at the symposium, the planning committee needs to figure out how to handle the situation. So we need your confirmation by November 15th. Some of you have come back to me with your acceptance, with your confirmations. I'm still pending a few confirmations. So I will be chasing the lightning talk speakers in the following within the following week. Last but not least, for the confirmed lightning talk speakers, you will be asked to submit your slides in advance. A separate email will go out on this after your confirmations have been received from our end. That's all I had on the APAC Symposium news on the Collaborator Showcase. One more notification or announcement was with regards to registration. So we have less than a month now for the APAC Symposium. Time flies, right? So if you haven't registered for the event and you're planning to come, now will be your golden opportunity, golden timing for you to register. So registration is split into two parts. One on the day 1 and day 1, 2, 3, which is covering the tutorial as well as the main conference, and the datathon over the weekend for the second part. So registration links and QR codes are here for your reference. If you haven't registered yet, please do so within the next month so that we can all see you at the symposium in Singapore.
Can I ask a question, Saul?
Sure.
Pertaining to this registration, I just want to double confirm that it can only be paid via the Alipay.
I'm not sure about the registration methods, Stephen. Morning.
Do they just offer Alipay? I don't think so. Yeah, I believe should be all major credit cards.
Stephen, when I last checked the registration page, it was receiving all credit cards like Visa and MasterCard as well.
It shows the Visa and Master and all those things, but there's only one button that goes to the Alipay, and then it got stuck there. Sorry about that.
Morning, can you check from your end?
Yeah.
Or is it a surprise?
Confirm, but that shouldn't be the case because
okay, maybe I got it wrong.
I think credit card would be the main way of payment in Singapore. But we will check to see where there's something wrong behind the scene. Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen, maybe a screenshot will be helpful in order to
Yeah.
troubleshoot this and
Yeah.
to determine whether
Okay.
it's a problem from your end or if it's a problem with the registration in general.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stephen. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
It
Bonnie.
might be a payment gateway thing. Some places get different gateways, so that's possible. But when I try to do it, it only shows me credit cards, but I'm based in Singapore, like Morning said.
Oh,
Only
maybe
shows
it's an
credit card.
IP.
Yeah, with an
Different
IP thing, it
countries'
might be.
IP,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. That's what I'm thinking might be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so Stephen, if you're experiencing the same issue and it's recurring, maybe a screenshot and if you can reach out either to myself or Morning, we can check from the back end.
Okay.
Thank you for raising, Stephen. Any other questions with regards to the symposium?
One more question pertaining to earlier on. There is this, I was talking to NIH Malaysia, and we have been recently working on this something called the OMOP enabling cataract registry, right? And they say they are ready to showcase. I don't know whether is it still available to actually do any of this. If yes, I will inform Dr. Fadli, and he will be the key person going to be talking about this particular area on what NIH is working on, the cataract registry per se.
Are you talking about at the APAC Symposium, Stephen?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The collaborative showcase or what, something like that. And he's keen to actually participate as, one of the collaborator kind of idea.
So when we say collaborator showcase, Stephen, we're talking about posters. And right now we've already went through the entire process. But if you can have abstract submitted, I will raise it with the steering committee to see if we can accommodate one more poster at the event. But to be sure, Stephen, there is no guarantee we can prepare a speaking slot. Maybe a possibility for a poster, but I'm not sure about the lightning talks itself. The talks itself. Okay.
Okay. No
Yes,
problem.
Stephen. Yes. I mean, I don't know what they are expecting with a poster. Would they be happy with a poster? Just to share the idea. Like Song say, the best we can do probably squeeze in one more lightning talk for 5 minutes. That's even not guarantee. Are they okay with that? Would they be happy with poster? But then they do get to share with the entire audience and the other leaders in the regions as well, and including our global leaders.
Yeah.
So let's know.
Think,
yeah.
I think at least there's one poster opportunity that he can just stand by it and then be able to talk about what he has done. And I think they'll be potentially good enough. But I will bring it back to him, working together with him to prepare the necessary, and then I will share it with you Morning and of course Song, for you to consider. If you have any examples of what to expect and what kind of a format and things like that, it will be good.
Just a one-page thing. So
I will share a template, Stephen, for the abstract after the call. You can deliver that and make sure that it's within the format. But again, Stephen, the most important critical aspect is around whether it's related to OMOP or OHDSI. If there is no relevance to that, it will be a problem. But as long as there's relevance, that's fine.
Yeah, this is actually the first time they have actually used all these OMOP data structures. We have actually incorporated the entire cataract data sets into the OMOP environment, and then from there they're able to answer to so many different kind of research questions related to cataract. Similar to PASA, there's a pre-post operative and stuff like that, and what are the medical related issues that they face and stuff.
Sure. I'll send you the abstract template as soon as we're over with the call. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Evelyn.
Song, sorry, I got a few DMs in regards to people on the call who wanted to participate in the initiatives that were mentioned, like the cataract registry. How can we reach out to that? Like, should we reach out to you? What should we do if they want to get connected to those initiatives?
What Sorry, what initiative? The cataract? This is happening in Malaysia, Evelyn. I don't know who's DMing you right now, but it's something the Malaysian NIH is doing. If I don't know if they're open up to collaboration, that will be a discussion for Stephen and the Malaysian counterparts. So if you
Okay,
want,
we'll reach out
if
to
it's
them. Yeah.
yeah, you can reach out to Stephen here. I'm pretty sure he can coordinate. Is that
Perfect,
okay,
thank
Stephen?
you. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you.
Right, that's all on the APAC Symposium. If no further questions, I'll move on to our next agenda, which is the wrapping up of the community-wide ETL project we've been doing over the 3 months. Before I call out on project leads to share, I will have small announcements to make again. So first of all, there is a revised data use agreement, which will be distributed to all project volunteers for consent. I recognize that there was an original one that was circulated at the beginning of the project, but there's been small changes in which we will need consent again. So once this is prepared, I will circulate to the volunteers to get consent. Next, as we are now.
Yeah, for the data user agreement, like everyone's really sorry for the additional travel. It's required by data owner, the Singapore General Hospital. So you may understand that yeah, they make some changes to some of the terms and conditions. So yeah, hopefully you may understand. Thanks a lot for your effort in advance.
Thank you. Next, as we're now officially wrapping up the project, for all volunteers and project leads here, please make sure that you're archiving everything into the project teams channels and any other relevant repositories. So if you're using GitHub, make sure everything is on GitHub. If you're using Teams channels to archive project documentation, please make sure they're stored instead of in your local machines if you've downloaded and made changes to any documents on your local machines. And last but not least, with regards to the scientific forums and its cadence for 2024, today will actually be our last scientific forum because our next scientific forum is going to overlap with the APAC Symposium. So I will be canceling out the December scientific forum, and a new cadence will be set up for 2025 as we enter January in 2025. So thank you all again for attending our scientific forums. I think it has been half topics around addressing specific topics that the community had interest in, and then it sort of evolved into the entire ETL topic, and now the Parsar ETL project that we're currently conducting. So thank you all again. Hopefully we'll have an interesting series set up for next year as well. So I'll shut up now. I was just speaking with Mui yesterday, and she was saying, "Song, when do you ever shut up?" So I'll try to shut up, and I'll give the floor over to the project leads to share their experience. So I think I'll go in order of the teams. Bunsang, I see you here. I'm not sure if I see Max here. Okay, Max is here as well. Which one of
Yeah.
you will be presenting and sharing?
I'm Bunsing here. I will present on
Perfect.
behalf of DA team. Let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see your screen.
Okay, good. So I'm represent DA team. Here is the list of the team members who contributed during the data analysis. We thanks to all the team members and also especially to Lydia Liu, which is our project manager. And also I would like to thanks Max, who is also working closely with me, who contribute very much on the data analysis and also the ETL process prior to the preparation of the ETL spec. So I also would like to thanks to Yiji, who is very close with me or clarify on the data, especially as a channel to communicate with the data owner, and also not the rest of the team members who contribute in the effort of doing the data mapping and also the ETL process mapping, right? So let me forward to the next. From the recaps, in fact, we actually work closely with the teams, started with the initial early stage, which is started with the just a recap using the White Rabbit. And also we involved to prepare the, after profiling the data, we actually move forward to get ready to perform the manual mapping in the working Excel, right? And apart from the working together with the Excel file, we actually have some AI generated CloseoutDB, right? AI, which is getting some of the as our reference, but it will be useful for those who never involved in the OMOP CDM for the first grant to get to know how it can be able to use it, right, as a guidance. So apart from this, we also work in the within among the team members who are using the Rabbit in the Hat. In the Rabbit in the Hat, we actually perform the conduct the ETL documentation to understanding which source is actually mapped to the OMOP CDM destination tables. And apart from this, we actually uploaded to the GitHub, right? So those document is actually is a live working document is in the GitHub itself. So there's two key deliverables from our end, which is involved mapping tutorial together with the Excel working across the team members to input all their source logics and also any necessary comments related to the source back to the OMOP CDM, right? And this copy also uploaded to the Microsoft Team channel and to share across the team member as a collaborative working channel, right? So the second of the deliverables, which is ETL spec. For the ETL spec, we actually put it to the follow the Rabbit in the Hat concept, which is a copy also uploaded to the BASA ETL spec, which is follow the particular link on the right-hand side. For the details of the information, is actually can be get from the website itself. So the last part, this is a summary view of what we learned from this particular exercise, reflected on our particular team members. First of the key issue here is actually I would like to highlight, which is the unavailability of the certain team members due to their day work, right? Because this is a part-time work, somehow there's some delay in the work deliverables and respond to the team member as well. So in order to overcome this particular key issue, in fact, we have a close check-in with the team members, one-to-one, and also somehow we also host a weekly cadence to get the status update as well. The second key issue that we foresee is actually we actually observe is actually availability and the responsiveness of the data owner and clinicians who is understanding the source data to be able to helping us to map to the OMOP CDM, right? So this part will be impacting some confirmation delay, right? Because we couldn't be able to get to know the behavior of the data, right? So we actually put up the clarification into the Excel file and before we finalize it together with the ETL team. So to overcome this particular problem, we actually has a close follow-up and also need to get some support from the project manager to close follow up with the project key person who is a channel for us to confirm the rules and logic. So moving forward, we also suggest to include the data owner as our core DA team lead in future to smooth the data understanding at the early stage, right? So number third, which is an ability of the full set of data at the beginning. This is actually very crucial because when the first time when we received the sample data set is actually when we did the first step of the profiling using the White Rabbit. In fact, there's a lot of things is actually couldn't be able to understand. especially when we look into the result, it's actually it somehow is delays some of the data mapping process, right? Especially the terminology, understanding what is inside the data itself, right? So for us to better understanding this, we actually would like to confirm the range of data that could be used at the beginning stage, set the expectation right. So this one, we also would like to see the future organizer or the project team, and would be also optimize the result resources to help to prepare the data, upload the data, required data, so that we can able to break down the expectation. Then the third, the number 4, which is the development infrastructure readiness delay, right? So this one is actually, we observe that it's actually could be also impacting us in commencing the data analysis work as per what we planned at the early stage. So that's why we would like to confirm and get to know the development platform early will be help a lot, right? Prior even before the project kick off, so that we can able to know when we can get ready the development environment for us to tap the data and also for us to do the performing. So number 5, which is the last one, approach of information sharing is not optimized as because we are currently still using the Excel as a document for us to collaborate across a multiple party who are working as a concurrent to update from individual, right? That's why it's actually lack of the version control as well. We know that there's a working Excel sheet, but it's actually somehow it's actually lack of the version control and notification for us to know which part is actually updated, which part is not updated, right? So this is actually causing us to manually go to identify where is the changes and updated by the individual in order for us to proceed with the ETL spec. So this is actually overcome this one would be better is actually to get a proper gateway, proper gate for us to avoid any changes requirements. That means we need to know when will be the final gate for us to close the changes in order for us to keep track versioning as well. So better change history and the version tracking control will be good in the future. Let's say we have a similar work to able to understanding which part is actually able to keep track the changes. So I think that's all from our end. Represent the data analysis team from our reflections. Thanks a lot. So pass it back to you.
Thanks, Musang. Thank you, Max, as well. I see your camera turned on. Thank you for joining me with the cameras. By the way, Max, I don't know if everybody knows here, but Max has also been awarded as a Titan Award winner at this year's OHDSI Symposium. He's been awarded for, I believe, community contribution. Is that correct, Max?
Collaboration.
Collaboration, sorry, yes.
Yeah,
So congratulations, Max. I think your efforts in both your efforts in Thailand as well as your contributions to this project have been recognized by the community. Anyways, back to the data analysis. So Bunseng, I have a few questions and then I'll open up the floor for others. So first question, with regards to the ETL spec, I remember there were some gaps between the GitHub itself, and also there was also another website where you guys were uploading the finalized ETL specs, right? So are they currently in sync, or are we just sticking with one, just the GitHub?
Oh, I can answer that one. So basically, the GitHub just store the file, and then the file get automatically rendered as the website.
Okay, so they're programmed to sync together. If
That's
the GitHub
right.
is okay, got it.
Basically, they are the same thing.
Okay,
but
got
the
it.
spreadsheet might not be in sync with the spec on the GitHub. Yeah. So on the Excel file, that's the working document that our team members contributed.
Right.
Yeah, and then I made some discussion and decision to put the ones mapping, like only mapping that we are pretty certain with onto GitHub, and then that get rendered onto the website.
Okay, got it. So that was my first question. Second question, I would say more of a comment. Let's say with regards to the version control, like SharePoint does have a version control. It's just not the version control that you guys would typically expect, right? In terms of GitHub and everything. But I think I think the decision to use Excel itself was also to accommodate more of the general capabilities or knowledge around usage of tools for the volunteers, right? So if you use too technical environments like GitHub, to me, GitHub is very technical. So if I had to use GitHub, that would be sort of a hurdle for me and a learning curve for me. So I think we made a good decision. You guys made a good decision to use Excel for the working discussions and everything. But yes, I do agree. The version control and tracking of stuff is not entirely, fit always good for the purpose that you guys were expecting. So yeah, just a comment I just wanted to make with regards to the last reflections you had there. Any questions for the DA team?
I have to give a special shout out to Bunseng as well. He had done a lot of managing, coordination, a lot of work behind the scene. Thank you so much.
If we're doing call outs, I also would like to call out Lydia, who is unfortunately no longer with IQVIA anymore. But yes, she also contributed a lot to the initial project kickoff and everything. So yeah, I will WeChat Lydia and let her know that the community greatly appreciates her efforts as well. But again, thank you all the entire data analysis team for your efforts. Great. If no questions, I'll hand over to the ETL team. Satish?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so let's start with the most important slide, our volunteers for the ETL team. So big shout out again to each one of them for their contributions to this ETL pipeline. And it's not only the contributions, right? I mean, participating in the weekly meetings, raising clarifications, responding to the review comments, and as addressing the QA issues. So without your contributions, we wouldn't have gotten the desired results. So thank you again. Yeah. And talking about results, so let's see what we have achieved together. So the ETL pipeline is completed for the 19 tables as we envisioned with the spec from the data analysis team. Additionally, the pipeline also supports the loading of the 4 cap tables from Athena. So a total of 14 million records are ingested. It takes around an hour to complete. As you can see that we have merged 25 pull requests in the GitHub. There's one final pull request that's just tying up the loose ends and some QA issues that's pending for merge. In total, yeah, we have had 12 contributors, over 150 commits, 75 files have been added for the pipeline. And even we enable the constraints for the OMOP tables, except for the concept and the procedure occurrence, because of the CPT4 code, there is a bit of handling that's required if you load it with the CPT4 or without the CPT4. So for that reason, the specific constraints, foreign key constraints are disabled. And we as well managed to liaise with the QA team and resolve close to 40 issues. Lastly, the data is available for browsing in the schema name called OMOP ETL_schema. Looking at the statistics of the table that we have ingested, you could see that, I mean, for the clinical tables, this is a 1% data set of the original PASA data set. So the big elephant is the measurement, right? So this is 12 million records, and this took around an hour. So and the rest of the records as well is just under a few 2 minutes probably. So in total, we have close to 14 million records, and this is the rough time that it took to ingest. We have also just documented that, like I said, we support the loading of your cap tables. So these are the 4 tables that are required for this ingestion. and the number of records and the time taken as well for them. The deliverables, right? So the source code that has been used is obviously in the GitHub. Instructions of, if you want to do further development, can as well follow the instructions for the GitHub. The repo is public and available for viewing, and you can fork it and extend it further as well. We as well collaborated with the OCAP team, so they gave multiple versions over different timelines. So that's as well documented for communication and traceability in this pull request. We also have the raw data that was originally loaded in the GCP bucket, and the PASA ETL scripts, which transforms from the GCP and loads it into the Postgres by Max, is as well, available in the link in Teams, and the vocabulary data as well. So I did not download all the vocabularies. Only those that's relevant to the data set. And then there is a minor transformation that I double code all the records in the concept CSV, and this is without the CPT4 codes, and it's available at this location. Clarifications over the period of the ETL development is documented here. The assumption that we had to take in order to progress is the link is given, and then as well that obviously we need the clarifications from the data owner is as well mentioned in this link, and the vocabulary team again. We've been going even recently we had some clarifications for the unit concept IDs and been as well documented there. And finally, the QA issues for all our ETL developers to have the visibility, and as well go ahead and discuss with the QA team, and as well enable the fixes. The source Passar Postgres data is available on the Cloud SQL Postgres instance in these three schemas: pre-op, intra-op, and post-op. And finally, as I mentioned, the ingested data is as well available in the Postgres Cloud OMOP ETL schema. Reflections, right? So, in my opinion, we have achieved what we set out to in the beginning. That what we wanted is that in this course of this duration of roughly 3 months for the ETL team, and multiple tables and dependencies between these tables, and there are multiple developers involved in this, that we would always want to have a structured way of less confusion, more clarity of how we would want to push in our changes in a structured, collaborative manner, yet flexible, right? Because this is a community and each of them have their own preference. And that's why the team as well was split into 2 sub-teams of SQL and Python. So based on the language preference as well, the framework that was developed had to support these kind of flexibility. And then as well the isolation rate, because the data usage agreement says that we should not do any local development, but only on the GCP environment. And for cost purposes, we could not have each VM for each developer, but we are sharing the SQL and the Python teams were sharing a VM each. So we still need to have good isolation for the Git authentication and all that. So that was also achieved. And lastly, as well, the reproducible setup. At least I can guarantee that. With Linux and Mac, it should work. Windows, we fix minor things. Yeah. And for the second point is also related to the first point, is that we have achieved near automation completion. So right from the schema creation to creating the constraints, loading the concepts, and then reading from the source schemas and ingesting into the OMOP clinical tables, it's all automated, right? Why is it near? It's because there is obviously some initial setup needed, right? You need to have the Postgres with the source data loaded in the schemas, and as well the vocab data as well in a certain format, and should be placed in a path as well to be loaded, right? But once the initial setup is done, the turnaround time to just simply create new schemas and load the data in a compliant way with the constraints is pretty quick. I mean, as I've experienced in the last week as well, which is for testing purposes, I was creating different schemas. And I'm proud to say that we've achieved this this level of automation. Yeah. Challenging, yeah. I mean, it's in a way that during this course of this development as well, we have to make some assumptions, right? And obviously there is no right answer for the assumption that we make. To just briefly talk about some is like the one-to-many relationship. I mean, for the observation, we were pretty clear with the entity attribute value model that it's going to be a one-to-many. But the challenge is also to kind of enable the linkages between these transformations, right? So one row in the source becomes multiple rows in the OMOP table, but these multiple rows must be linked together for traceability, so that the results, for example, which is the case as well in measurement, your lab results, each one is a row, but we somehow need to enable that link, that 10 rows point to the same lab test. And which should not be lost, because that's how it's in the source record for the, which is basically just one record for the lab test result. And then as well during the non-standard to standard concept mapping, so it's the case as well that, for example, you will have a source code, but that's translated into two different domains for conditions and procedure, right? So which means they will as well need to be, I mean, ingested into two different tables, and somehow this needs to be as well addressed. So these kind of assumptions, then what kind of assumptions do we make, right? And how do we overcome this? And the next one is as well with the clinical dates and the visit dates from the visit occurrence table. So when we ingested, we noticed that they were way off, right? So for example, when I was doing the condition occurrence with the diagnosis date was much earlier than the session start date or the visit start date in the OMOP, and that obviously, I mean, doesn't make sense. So then we got it clarified by EG, and yeah, she was kind enough to document all these clarifications for us, and then yeah, I mean, we were able to proceed in that direction. And which is again related that, I mean, it is extremely valuable that we have people with experience, and especially in some cases for drug exposure and all that, we need the domain knowledge. Yeah, so people like Song, Max, and she had the domain knowledge, and they brought in different perspectives, which was quite useful to us, and we were able to make some kind of assumption based on their perspectives. Yeah, and this goes without saying that communication is absolutely critical. Timely communication is all the more critical. Otherwise, we are just waiting for other people to respond, or we are forced to take decisions which we need to do rework later on, which is not ideal as well. And also this as well, the existing OMOP resources has been, without a doubt, has been extremely useful. The DDL scripts, the vocabularies, and the tools for White Rabbit and the data quality dashboard has been quite critical, that we could leverage on them, and that shows the power of this the OHDSI OMOP community. Yeah, no project is perfect. Scope for improvement. I mean, as I mentioned, we still have some room for improvement for this one-to-many mappings. As I mentioned, as the you have the source domain is documented as a single domain in PASAR, but in OMOP they get translated into multiple domains. And also for the concepts, which is pretty interesting and first of my experience, that let's say if your source concept is history of heart disorder, then it's probably a Boolean, yes or no. And same way they have other concepts like history of diabetes, history of other conditions and all that. But in the OMOP, they are split into two different concepts. One is the history of event, which is like an OMOP extension vocabulary, and the other one is a disorder, right? So how do you handle this? Would you have two records which kind of creates duplications, because history of event alone doesn't mean anything, but the value of that is also difficult. But the heart disorder as well, whether does it mean it's a current condition or it's in history of condition, right? So there is a difference whether you had this condition in the previous years. So these things, I think we need to handle them better. Yeah, and their challenges still exist. Yes. And as well, the PASA to OMOP mappings based on the source concept. So this is again the case that there's still some pending mappings to be done, and that's always expected, that when we have a time-bound project, it's impossible to map everything. Yeah, so there's as well some improvement possible. And the ETL assumptions. So we have documented the ETL assumptions, but some of them, it's the case that it's not that it cannot be solved, but it's because of time constraints, they've just been left as it is, because again it involves more work, and that requires more handling of scenarios, which might cause issues to the existing records that have already been ingested. So to handle these use cases and time constraints, they have not been handled, but they have at least been, the very least, they've been documented, so that, like I said, we are always aware what were the decisions that were taken during the development. And as always, yes, pending liquidity issues, again, not possible to fix everything in a time-bound project. And last but not the least is the scalability. Like I said, I mean, we have executed this on the one person. And as I mentioned, for measurement, it's quite surprising that there was 11 million records from the intra-op Ames vitals table. Yeah, so on the 100%, it would be quite interesting, but it's the case, like I said, at least to a decent level, we have achieved this transformation, but it's always doesn't hurt to improve further. Yeah. And lastly, again, there's no doubt that I and the other developers have definitely gained good experience looking at the source data, how they have been collected, and what are the limitations in these collection. Usually it's the case, and then how do we, derive our assumptions based on these limitations. There's no doubt a good experience for the ETL team altogether. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Satish. For purpose of time, we do have 2 more teams, and I have actually given 10 minutes to each. So I'll save any questions for last, and I'll hand over the floor now to the vocabulary team. Chi, Lakshmi, I see both of you. Which one will be presenting?
Hi, Song. This is Lakshmi. I'll be presenting for the day.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll quickly share my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So with respect to vocab mapping team, the active team members who contributed are, most of them were doctors. So within their busy schedules, they were able to support us in the vocabulary mapping. So I really prefer to thank each and everybody who supported us in proceeding with the vocabulary mapping. So when it comes to recap, yep, initially when we started with the vocabulary mapping team, like we didn't had much volunteers, even though we had a lot of people joining us on the calls, but when it comes to actual work, like when we wanted somebody to support us and volunteer and take up some files, like we didn't get much of the volunteers to support us. It was just 4 of us who started working with that, but over a period of time we got other active volunteers who tried to support us in vocabulary mapping. So when like here, since most of them were doctors, like for them the mapping or the tools like Usahi, it seems to be very new, and Key has given a foundational training to us where we were able to understand the tool, Usahi tool, and we were able to do the mapping in a much faster way. So I really wish to thank Key here for his training and support. And and there were also a lot of, since most of them were into the medical field, they don't know about the tools much. So we really got a lot of queries and also a lot of challenges for volunteers to work on the tool as well as to understand the concepts and proceed. So that way we offline we were having almost daily one call with each of the volunteer to see how the mapping can be progressed. So that way we really built good communication as well as good bonding among ourselves too. So there are few volunteers, as I mentioned, they were less responsive, but still the allocate, like we were not able to get much traction from them or the response from them. But still, when we had such kind of challenges, the active volunteers really stepped in and they really they took over the file from the less responsive volunteers and segregated the task among ourselves, and we completed few files. So that really helped us. And there are few files which got added, like at least one or two which got added in the later phase of the project, which was not initially a part of it, but we were able to complete the task on time. So that's on the recap. And you can see that there are 19 plus 120 files on which we worked, especially the intra OP operation group, that's the surgical file, which is a very big file with 2000 plus codes. So that is where we had multiple volunteers pitched in, and we also required medical knowledge to proceed on that. And I really thank each and everybody who participated and supported in converting that file. And most of the files has been reviewed by Key, myself, Yong, as well as Cynthia. We tried to review most of the files, and I think it is now ready to get submitted for the closeout. Yeah. Reflections, yes, most of us might have worked with US codes, or like I worked with Indian data as well as with US data and a little bit of other countries, but not with Singapore. So when we worked on the regional codes, it's really a good exercise, and also it gave us good understanding about how the medicinal attributes or parameters are distributed or called among multiple countries. So that's a very good learning for us. And there are certain procedures which do not had direct OMOP matches, especially when it comes to surgical codes, and also certain drugs which are not part of the Athena coding. So there we really we really took over the medical doctors support to bridge the gaps, and we were able to do the mapping. And yes, really the usage of Usahi and Athena has become more friendly for us. Like initially it was so tough, and now it's we were able to work on that. And yes, it's really we are so happy to work or support on that, like yeah. So a big thank you for everybody who was part of this activity. That's all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you,
Key,
Lakshmi.
yeah.
Yeah. Chi, Lakshmi, yeah.
Yeah, Key, would you like to add any points here, or?
No, that was very good. It's just one very slight correction. Cynthia Song is also a PhD, so
Okay.
probably want to put in the prefix.
Salutation. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, this is why we don't add in or licenses. Is it licenses? But Odyssey typically says don't add in any of this because it's easily lost, and we tend to just usernames within the community. So, but again, important thing to highlight, I guess, from the vocab team is that a lot of the volunteers actually required medical knowledge to do the actual mapping. So I will acknowledge that exception needs to be made for the vocab team. Thank you. Chi, any final comments?
No. Thank you, everyone. Really great to work with everyone in the team.
I have learned a lot through the process. Many volunteers are very enthusiastic, trying to get more work to get them done. Really a very good team. I'm sure you will all get together in the symposium. So
We will miss you, Chi. All right. Thank you. For purpose of time, over to you, Karthik or Santan. Which one of you? Okay.
I'll take it. The lead has led me to this. So all right.
Go ahead.
I'm sure you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
All right. Quality assurance team. Made up of two amazingly big people. Santan as the lead and the sole worker, and me as the project manager, who essentially, yeah, I don't know what I managed, but yeah, we did good. All right, but just to give you a recap, and this is going to be our only slide, this is what the QA team did for the last 3 months. We just sat around and we waited for somebody to give us something to do, and then everything sort of came together at the end. So quick recap, Santan deployed the DQD on the 2 instances that we have. We did the R scripts that were needed for running the DQD, and then we also ran and shared the DQD results with different teams, right? Also, we sort of did some initial troubleshooting and suggested solutions based on the results. I mean, we had a lot of discussions. I'm not going to summarize these discussions here, of course, but essentially we coordinated a lot with the ETL team actually. And so thank you so much to the entire team. And I think Satish would be happy to hear the last of us, at least regarding this project. He is, of course, in the same organization as us, so he doesn't get away so easily. But with regards to this project, this will be probably the last he hears from us. But yeah, we coordinate a lot with the ETL team to fix the issues, and they were quite responsive. So thank you for that. This is the final result. We have run the data quality assessment on the PASAR data set, and we are happy to note that it's we have the corrected pass percentage is quite high at 98%, but we would like to have a quick note about that in later also. But excellent work from everyone involved, all the volunteers, and like somebody clearly mentioned, right? I mean, it's great. Everyone is a volunteer here, so kudos to everyone. In terms of deliverables, all the scripts and results are in the GitHub repo that's linked there. And similarly, the sprint reviews and other presentations that we have done are also in the SharePoint. So you can access them from there, and I'll share the slides with you, of course, Song, at the end of the meeting. In terms of reflection, goes without saying, quality work needs a lot of coordination and teamwork with the other teams to succeed, and we are quite happy that the other teams did respond to whenever we needed them for. We are also happy to see that the data mapping quality is quite high, but we would like to raise the point that we should understand why there are still a high number of non-applicable checks when we run the DQDs and how this number could be reduced. And then I think we will get a much better view into the data mapping quality exactly, right? I mean, as of now, we think it's a great quality data set, and I'm sure it is, but we should also take a, kind of finish this little bit so that we can proudly claim all of it. And yeah, as a PS, it was a great experience to be part of this well-organized OHDSI APAC project. So kudos to everyone involved, including the PMs and everyone else, and people who are not in this call, people who are in this call. Thank you so much for the amazing experience. That's all I have.
Thank you, Karthik. So, wow. I hope the vocab team and the QA team didn't have to rush through this. You guys gave me 5 minutes to open up the floor for any questions. So back to so we just had 3 presentations in a row from ETL, vocabulary, and the QA. Is there any questions or comments for these teams and leads? Maybe I'll start off. Go ahead, Stephen. Yeah.
Sorry, this question is for Santan. I just wanted to understand, the third point you mentioned that looking at the future, if we can tidy up a little bit more, it'll be even better quality work, right? So can you give some examples of what are some of the typical problems detected during the DQD function?
Right. So sometimes during the ETL process, when the data is mapped and loaded, during the process, a column was missing, right? In a particular table, one of the columns was either null or empty. So the issues came up because of that, and those were ideally reported as one check in the data quality, and then once that is resolved, that check would have disappeared in the DQD result in the next run. And similarly, the issues that I came across were one, I highlighted this before. DQD itself has an issue in the checks. It is basically an error in the library, and it was reported in the OHDSI data quality dashboard repo. What the reply I got was this is already known in that particular version, and they will release the next version with these errors resolved. Yeah, and some related to concept IDs due to the mapping issues, and when they were resolved, yeah, the errors would have disappeared. I think one place where we can still work on is that in the mapping, there are some thresholds that we cannot right now we have not changed. Yeah, and these thresholds can be readjusted to our project, and that's how we can also correct some of the quality checks that are still failures. So because of the constraints or assumptions that we make currently, these thresholds will vary, and data quality checks have a hard-coded threshold for all the tables. Yeah, and this is like 5% or 0%. Yeah, but we may have like 0.13% or 10%. So according to that, I think I cannot make a call on how to readjust these thresholds. But as a community, maybe as a team, we need, I mean, if time permits, we could have done that. But this is too last minute, I would say, to do this. Yeah, these are the things that, I mean, yeah, I came across, and possible solutions were proposed. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you so much, Santa.
Yep. So Karthik, on your maybe one comment from me. So on your statement about you guys waiting and waiting. Yes, of course. Very typical of data quality to be assessed at the last phase of ETL. Thank you for your patience. And again, Santan and Satish, as well as the DA team and Chi at the very last moment. We had a lot of quality discussions and troubleshooting discussions. Very last minute. Satish also was on front of his machine at like I think 11 p.m. yesterday, just to get things wrapped up. He was also making active updates this morning as well. So again, thank you everybody here, all the leads here for driving this community-wide project over the last 3 months. Your contributions are greatly appreciated. We will, at the APAC Symposium, also have sessions around the ETL project itself. So you will hear from the people in person for those of you who are at the symposium. So look forward to that. And we'll also have a small panel discussion among the leads as well. So a lot of this will reflect on what we discussed today, as well as other questions that come up during the symposium itself. I really hate to close the call, but maybe one more minute for any last minute questions. Okay. A heart from the host of the APAC Symposium, a heart from Karthik. I see people are dropping off now. So again, thank you everybody for joining. We'll see you at the APAC Symposium. If for those not, I'll see you at the upcoming community call. Yes, Bunseng, you misclicked. You were supposed to react. Chi?
No, I misclicked. Sorry.
Another person that misclicked.
Everyone's giving high five. Okay, we take it as high fives. Okay, high fives, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you, Song. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.